Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot and for another pick a card reading. Today's reading is all about who is your soul twin. So we're going to be looking at a range of things like what could be going on in their life and your life when you meet, or if you have already met potentially and you're just wanting to confirm that they are a soul twin. And we'll look at characteristics around that person and some of the combined energies between you and that person so that you can get the sense of what that relationship is likely to be like and what's really a blessing and wonderful in it and what may be a challenge or something to learn, because quite often with soul twin relationships there is that sense of learning and development that comes from it, as to some degree all relationships have, but particularly maybe soul twin type relationships. Now, I'm going to be focusing primarily in this reading on soul twin relationships that take on a romantic or life partner type of aspect to them, but that does not necessarily mean that every soul twin takes that particular aspect. There are some schools of thought that think that is the case, that we're talking about Plato's concept that we were once joined together, both the sides of the broader gender spectrum, I guess, joined together and then split apart, and then we're always looking for our complementary person, again, regardless of where you sit on the gender spectrum, but that kind of sense of the fit, the perfect fit, and that will generally tend to come out as a romantic relationship. However, there are other schools of thought, and I tend to fall more into the latter category, that says that we may have more than one soul twin in a life, and one may be around romance or may not. They may be a comrade in arms in a particular cause. They could be a best friend. They could even be someone in your extended family. And the purpose of that soul twin relationship is a very strong connection and affinity between you and the other person that allows you or the other person or both of you together to develop in some way, learn certain lessons, get certain blessings and so forth. And the reason that I'm saying that is that although I will focus primarily on the romantic sort of aspect to this, I would hate to think someone who's in a very happy romantic relationship at the moment, if they go to a reading and they feel it resonates but it doesn't sound like their person, then discounts their person, because it may well be, if that's the case, that your soul twin is not meant to be your life partner, they're meant to be something else like your best friend. I do think for most people that probably won't be an issue coming here, because most of you are probably looking for someone at the moment, or you've got your eye on someone and you're wondering if that intense connection you feel means something along these lines. But I did want to put that caveat in because it's important to know that there are many ways that love comes into our lives, and they're all valid. It's not an issue that the only one that really counts is a soul twin. You may or may not come across a soul twin for romance in your life, but that doesn't lessen the importance of love more generally. So I just wanted to put that in there, because with collective readings, there is no clear way of knowing for sure what your situation is. You're going to need to come to this and work out what resonates, take what does, leave the rest as always, and just use this as an interesting exploration, not as a diagnostic on a current situation if you're in it. So with that particular caveat in place, as always, I'll be asking you to tune in and decide which of the readings pulls you towards it. And if more than one does, by all means, look at more than one. As I said, you could potentially have more than one soul twin relationship in a lifetime of different types. To help choosing that, I'm using the chakra placement stones. So the first reading, pile 1, has the throat chakra stone. The second reading, pile 2, has the heart chakra stone, and the third reading, pile 3, has the crown chakra placement stone. Now, that doesn't mean, as I always say when I use the placement stones, that this is all about communication, this is all about the heart, and this is all about, connecting with the divine. I don't know what's under these cards. We'll see what comes out in them. It's just more what you feel drawn to. And it could be those sort of chakra energies. It could be the colour of the placement stones. It could be something completely unrelated to that draws you to one or more of the readings. Whatever that is, you do you. When you know which reading or readings you want to go to, the information for that reading, the timestamp, will be in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. This card was amongst a number that were under the chakra placement stone that you chose to come to this reading. And these ones over here that we'll get to later are more around the combined energies of this soul twin relationship. But this one is meant to give a sense about what's going on in your life when you meet the person, or if you think you've met them, when you met them, or right now potentially. It gives a sense of what are some of the challenges or blessings that this soul twin relationship will help you with, is going to move you through. And I definitely think in this case your soul twin will be helping you, and it's helping you in understanding who you are and standing true to who you are and getting past criticism, because the card we have is her wicked ways, and this is the Snow Queen of fairy tale lore. She is, in this card, you could almost think of her as a very, very, very negative Queen of Swords, a very critical, a very judgmental, a very controlling energy. It could manifest as a member in your family, it could be friends around you, it could be somebody in your workplace, but it's someone who has, or you have ascribed to them, a degree of authority. This is not your soul twin. This is, I think, someone your soul twin is going to help you deal with in one form or another. This person or this energy around you makes you question yourself all the time. Never good enough, never lovable enough, never ready enough, never quite right. There's always a critique around this energy. And if it's not directed at you, it may be directed at anybody that you get involved in. Like, this person isn't good enough, there is this problem with them, and so forth. It's a very controlling and negative energy. So that doesn't mean your relationship is going to be negative. That's not the sense I'm getting from this at all. I think that this is saying that you have been subject to that in some form, whether it is purely about your relationships, your relationship choice and your lovability, or whether it is about how good you are at your work, how good you are at school or studies or creativity or whatever it might be. And this has been a presence in your life. It's almost like it's a drumbeat under your life that you've had to deal with. And that's why this soul twin relationship is so important, because part of this learning for you, part of this development is to stand up and say, I am good enough and I don't care what you think. And that's really the way to completely neutralize that energy, to stand in your own power. So it's almost counterintuitive that a relationship, a soul twin type relationship, could help you stand in your independence, but it can be precisely that sometimes that helps. The belief of one person, the connection of one person can rip all of the energy away from this person, because someone who's like that, or if there are people around you, if you have frenemies around you who are not supportive of you and don't make you feel good or attractive or lovable on some level, they're usually very hollow people. They're people who don't have a lot of self-esteem. They're people who need to put others down to feel good about themselves. That's the energy of the Snow Queen here. But for whatever reason, they have a position of judgment or authority, whether it's one that you've given to them or one that they have by nature of whatever milieu you're in where you know them. But this relationship is about that. So you will know that you are primed or ready to come across your soul twin, pile one, I think, when you are dealing with that sort of energy, just at the point where you're really feeling, I'm ready now to stand up, I just need to have that extra support to do that, you will be in that position to move forward. And there's sort of like the combined forces creating you a sense of self that this energy can't deal with. So it's a very profound support on that level. And it certainly could be from a friend rather than a lover, as I said in the introduction. But I think this gives a sense that you really, it's probably more important that it is somebody that is a love in your life, because I think it's a very fundamental level of healing your sense of self by knowing that you're lovable, by knowing that the critique coming from this person is not right. Now, if you are in a relationship with someone at the moment who is like that, then they are definitely not your soul twin. They are not a positive energy on your life, and your soul twin is meant to come in and show you an alternative. So let's have a look at tarot, and let's ask first of all what's going on in the life of your soul twin, the sort of energies around your soul twin when they come in, because this may help you understand who it is and how to connect with them and understand from their perspective as well. Okay, so Firstly, this person is not dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. This person, they may have done in the past and come through it. That's a possibility. But they are in a good emotional sense of themselves. They have a good sense of themselves and they are able to be generous with others. So they're the polar opposite energy to this. So if you're resonating to this, that there's someone or some people around you who are very critical, you will know this person is different because their energy is completely different. They are able to be generous because they're happy in themselves. They have brought themselves through something. They may well have gone through something similar in their childhood or in work or something like that because they've reached the magician. So they are very confident. They know who they are and they are probably well established. It's very likely, Pile 1, that you may meet this person through either something quite traditional, so either through work or through some sort of community or spiritual group or something like that. And they're definitely someone who is looking for a long-term commitment, a long-term happy commitment. They have been in two minds about relationships before, and part of their journey, I think, in some ways, I think is probably going to have mirrored yours. I think that they're just a bit further along the pathway. I think they've been reluctant to commit to relationships before because they need a relationship where they can be true to themselves and where they feel that they can be generous and supportive and that is met back with them. So I think that when you come across this person, they'll know this energy. They'll sense that energy. They'll be able to take you away from that because they've seen it in some form or gone through it themselves in some form, and they can model to you what will actually work. So it's got a sense of, you know, sometimes in those sort of movies where it's sort of like young adult movies, this doesn't necessarily mean that you are a young adult, you may well be, but you may not be. But that thing where there's friends and they kind of control something and then the other person comes in and they break that apart by just having a much more positive viewpoint and just accepting the person because they've gone through stuff themselves. I'm seeing Bridget Jones' Diary. I'm seeing that dynamic as well there, where Bridget Jones was not that happy with herself and she had sort of like critique around her at work and so forth, and she was always measuring herself up against standards and so forth. And then the Mark Darcy character comes into her life, and even though they don't fully connect at the beginning, at the end there is that sense of that they balance each other out and they can make each other feel good. So that's the kind of feeling. There's a little bit of pop culture reference for the energy that I feel around this. But I do feel that this person is well established. It could very well be that you do, as I say, meet them through work or something like that, and they will be seen or known in some ways being very, very competent in what they do, and I think reasonably well off, at least, certainly well enough off to be generous with others. And they're basically a very happy person. They have worked out how to be happy, but they haven't decided yet. In fact, they're almost like the classic free person who everybody might think, well, will they ever settle down? Because they never seem to. They seem to be very happy in their own skin and happy on their own, or happy in sort of like briefer relationships. But what it's all about is they know not to make a decision until they find the right connection. So I think the good news for you, Pile 1, is just as much as there's negative energy around you, there's positive energy coming through this person. So let's have a look at how you respond to this person when you first meet them, whether or not there's sort of like confusion, what's the sort of narrative around this, and how to sort of get the best sort of connection. Because I do feel like it's a very positive, very loving connection coming in your direction. But if you're coming from a base where people have almost programmed into you that, not to trust that sort of thing, it'll be interesting just to see what the tarot has to say to advise you about the impact of this on your life and how to get the best out of it. Okay, so again, I think this is pretty good news. There is your initial thing. You will feel that this person is more secure in themselves than you. And you will feel it. It's possible that the first thing you feel around them is, how could I be like them? How can I have that sense of self? Because the Three of Pentacles is reversed here. That suggests that you will be feeling, particularly in your material life, as though you are not as established, you haven't got the same foundations. I do think it's quite likely for many of you this person will be a little bit further on their career trajectory as well, or their sort of monetary trajectory. So I think part of the first reaction from you will be, is this person in my league? Can I, and particularly because you're hearing that programming up there, you know, is this the right sort of match? But I don't think you're going to stay long in wondering, because you have the Knight of Cups, which is your classic emotional offer. I think this person is so expansive in how they feel that when they feel the right connection, they don't dilly-dally. They get on with it and make the decision and move on. So I think that you are going to get them coming towards you. I don't think you're going to have to be the person who makes the first move. I think they'll see you, they'll know that's the right connection, and they're not going to be that worried about that. You know, they know the journey. That's not the point to them. Something is going to come out about whatever this negative energy is. With the moon reversed, secrets are coming out. So it may well be that there is a response from the people around you when this occurs about, no, you know, you can't be with that person, or what are you thinking, or whatever, because their nature is going to become very, very clear at this point. It's that you're not going to be in any more doubt. If at any point you thought, well, they mean the best for me, they're just trying to look after me, you're going to really see, because I feel like there's a reaction that brings that out. And when that occurs, we have the Knight of Wands, and that's a sense that you will feel the courage and the energy to just move forward and go with things with a lot more pragmatism than before. With the Seven of Cups reversed, that to me is always a sense that you've sorted out what really matters to you emotionally. It's not, when the Seven of Cups is the right way up, there can be a lot of idealism about it, but there's also lots of emotional choices and you're not really sure what to do and whether or not something is right for you. When the Seven of Cups is reversed, to me that always gives a sense that you've sorted it out. And I think these two are very strongly connected. I think that a key thing around your soul twin coming into your life, pile one, is that you will realise, one, that the programming you've had has not been right, that it's not been well intentioned, or at least even if it was on some level, it's still completely misguided. But I think with many of you, there is an energy here that you are something is going to come to the surface that really frees you from that. And that's part of what this is about. You're meant to be in a much more positive sense of togetherness, and you're meant really, I think what this is saying, pile one, you're meant really to be already at the same level that your soul twin is at. I think you will rapidly move to that when you join with this person and you really start to process what's been holding you back. But something has been holding you back, and it's certainly around romance, but it's also possibly around career, your sense of self, and so forth. And this is a very liberating energy, and one where you really, the getting of wisdom and the understanding of the dynamics that have been operating around you, because this person is not going to be in any doubt. So that's really nice. I mean, sometimes when you have soul twin energy, if both parties are needing to heal something when they come together, it can be very intense and tricky and difficult to deal with, even though ultimately incredibly rewarding if you do. But I think in this case, because for whatever reason, this person has either overcome a similar thing or they've just had a different trajectory in their lives and they are feeling much more clear in themselves, they make the moves, you meet them, and it's quite passionate. It's very romantic and passionate, which is lovely. And there's also the potential, even though the moon is reversed, for a psychic connection between you as well too, I think. But it's going to move you past this sense of lack of stability. It does look like a long-term type of relationship. So let's have a look at some of the combined energy between the two of you before I get on to some things that maybe are a little bit more identifiers of who this person might be. So what I did is I did intuitively choose a range of cards. When I say that, I didn't like look at them and decide which ones to have. I just chose them randomly from the deck, asking for Spirit's guidance. And these are all meant to show the combined energies of your relationship and what you can build from that together. So firstly, we have Black Tourmaline and Waning Gibbous. So Black Tourmaline is about protection, recharging and grounding. So there you go. This is a very protective energy for you and a very grounding energy. You're not necessarily feeling that grounded with Three of Pentacles reversed when you come across the person, but you can be much more grounded emotionally and much more pragmatic once you've connected with the person and you've got the information that you need. I am getting actually here, because this is connected to the Hierophant, that for some of you it will come through, you know, a workplace or a community group or something like that, and some of what you will learn about this energy isn't even related to this relationship or you, but has got to do with something that these people or person is involved in. So there is a real aha moment around this. This person may in fact be senior enough in a workplace to know something about this person, for instance, that you don't know. That's very specific. It's not going to be everybody, but I just got that and felt I needed to say it. But definitely there's a protective energy, and you do protect each other and you do ground each other. Because the one thing that your soul twin needed was to find the right person where they could make the commitment. And that's the energy that they see when they see you. Whereas you needed someone who would see you and see you fairly and see, the beauty of you. Then we've got waning gibbous, which is turning inwards. So I definitely think that suggests that there is something very intimate on a very profound spiritual level between the two of you as well. That there is a kind of we are a thing apart once we are together. We can turn inwards. All that we need to sustain is between the two of us. We don't need the views of other people. We turn inwards, but it feels like it's turning inwards together, because remember, these cards are about the combined energy. So this allows you to turn inwards together to really concentrate on that relationship. Let's see what else we have. Okay, I think this is the aha moment, and it's interesting that I intuitively put it over the moon reversed. We have the eye of the serpent. This is the concept of wisdom, of seeing something true, and then we have prey. They are going to see this, and or they're going to make you see this, that there is something that I really do feel that there's something really profoundly negative around you, pile one, but this soul twin is going to help you get away from that. Now, if it takes a while for that person to come in, and we will have a look at some timing later, even seeing this reading and being aware of that may help liberate some of that energy so that you are further along than this, that you are more established by the time the person comes in. But they're definitely coming in because you're meant to be, the two of you together are going to be a force to be reckoned with. But there's an awareness of the fact that there's something that has been really controlling you. And if it's family, again, it may have been meant in some sort of twisted way to be in your benefit, but hasn't been to your benefit. There's a really strong energy around this, that this combined energy helps you see. There's too much positive in that for the combined energy to be some form of predatory thing. There is not a sense that this soul twin is predatory. This is understanding it together and being ready to deal with it, having the wisdom to deal with it. So let's have a look at some astrology. And these cards I'm thinking of them as though it was the composite chart between you and the soul twin. So in astrology, you can combine the two natal charts of two people, and from that you can see the nature of the relationship. So that's the energy I'm looking at here, what's important in it. Okay, so firstly, strong emphasis on the fifth house. It would probably mean, if you put the two charts together, that there would be any number of planets within the fifth house, possibly even the sun in the fifth house, or maybe the moon or Venus or Mars, things that are around love in one form or another. It's a profoundly creative house, and so it may be that together the two of you can do something that is creative, and creativity has many forms. The planet for the fifth house is the sun, so that's life path. So this very much suggests that the two of you, your life paths are really in alignment. That's why I think it feels like it very naturally happens once you come across this person, and it clears out a lot of negative energy that wasn't part of your life path. The ruling sign of the fifth house is Leo, so one or other of you may be Leo or have Leo strongly in your chart. You don't have to, but that's a possibility. It's a fiery, creative energy. But the fifth house is all about romance, love. It's very much saying, there's no doubt about it, the people who have come to this reading, their soul twin relationship is meant to be the love of their life, I think, or certainly a great love in their life. With Virgo, that gives a sense of grounding energy. So that's, you help your soul twin ground all this sort of like self-actualization they've done and make the decision to connect with another person. They help you ground in a way of understanding what you really have and what you can bring to the table as opposed to what you're being told. So it's feels very healthy, it feels very balanced, it feels very settled. There's an eye for detail in Virgo, so we have the eye there, really understanding the dynamics around you. Together, you really, really understand the environment that you're in. The tarot card is the Hermit, so that connects with the going inwards. There's a profoundly spiritual connection here. And the celestial body is Mercury, which really helps communication. The communication between the two of you is going to be very, very easy. And I think it's largely because the soul twin is confident enough to start it. There's no games around this. You've had lots of games mind games in your life. You really have. And you probably are a bit wary of relationships for that reason. But this person is going to be a breath of fresh air because they're not going to be like that. They're going to be very clear, very open. Okay, now let's just get into some of the sort of fun stuff to get a sense, a little bit more energy around this person and what they're like and so forth. The first one is going to be around the feelings that they feel when they come across you, and then I'm also going to put down a couple of cards for the feelings they evoke in you. So again, just sort of something to help identify the person when they come into your life. So firstly, what they will feel around you. And then I'll shuffle again to have a look at what you will feel around them. This is when you first come across each other. Okay, so this is interesting. So firstly, for them, they are very confident. They are probably, as I say, further along in a career or a monetary thing or something than you at that point in time. And it may well be that when they first come across you, we've got overloaded, I only take on what I can handle. They have a lot on their plate. So this is just really more of an identifying factor. But you make them feel confident and unshakable. So there's a lot going on in their lives. They are the magician, and they are sort of like somewhere in a structure or organisation or a community group or whatever it might be, where they have progressed significantly, and so they have a lot on their plate. So you will know that they will have a lot on their plate, but you are going to make them feel very confident. You're going to make them feel that's fine. The nice thing is that you actually feel that it's what I'm getting from this in a strange way is that you're dealing with this sort of negative energy has made you highly empathic. You are very sensitive, but sensitive in a very attuned way, a very wise way with the eye of the serpent. So there's that sense that you maybe the first thing, the way you connect is you actually see what they're dealing with. You help them in some way on a very practical level that makes them feel really confident, and then makes them feel confident to come towards you. When that connects, you feel powerful. Try to stop me. I mean, I love this energy. I'm really, really, really liking this energy. I feel like the two of you are just going to be such a power couple once you're together. But when you come across the person, they have a lot on their plate. You understand that, you connect on some level on that, and then they understand you, and they give their confidence, like virally give their confidence to you. So let's ask for a couple of cards around timing for this. Okay, so we've got August. So this may depend upon when you're hearing this reading, when you're coming to it. If you're coming to it around the time that it was filmed, then it could be very imminent. It could be literally this current month, but it could also be suggesting that it comes in a year's time. We've got in 9 to 10 months as well. What I feel that is saying is that there's something about August. It may be August is when it occurs, or it might be that August is an important time between you. Remember we talked about the composite chart? It may be that certain planetary energies are very much triggered in your composite chart by things that happen in August. So when the sun is in August, for instance, which is in the Leonian time, and remember we had Leo before, that may be triggering certain key things. So August is important in some way. In 9 to 10 months may either be that it is 9 to 10 months from when you have this reading that you come across this person, or it might be that within 9 to 10 months of meeting, that's when you'll really know and be together and so forth. So it could be either depending upon what resonates for you in this particular reading. So let's finish off with some other cards that show some characteristics of the person, and then we'll also have a look at some letters, some initials, just to see that. Now these are just extra information that helps you go, yes, this is a person that I'm thinking of, you know, like when you meet the person and so forth, but they're not, they're not in stone, they're not carved in stone. So if the person fits everything else here but doesn't have these characteristics, then just presume that part of the reading wasn't for you. So again, take what resonates. Okay, so there's a few things here. I think it's funny there's procrastinator because we had the Two of Swords reversed. You may think this person, like they are very well established and so forth, but you may sometimes think, and it may be how you connect and help them move through being stuck if they've got a lot on their plate, that they sometimes take their time. They may be a little bit frustrating, but I don't think they'll take their time in showing their interest in you. But in other things, possibly they do. And they may be, this could be for quite a young cohort that's come here, they could be in their 20s, or it could be that their 20s were important in when they were starting their career, starting who they were. And in fact, when you talk, they may say, I could have got there quicker if I hadn't sort of procrastinated so much. There's an energy around choice, but there's the air sign as well too, which generally speaking, if they are an air sign or they have an air sign strongly in their chart, like Gemini or Libra or Aquarius, they move probably fairly quickly generally. They just probably procrastinate about certain things. So that will be an interesting energy. They may have a tan complexion. They could also be in the performing arts in some way, either as a career or it could be as something that they do as a hobby. Again, that could be in that kind of community sort of sense where you meet and so forth. And there is something kind of dramatic and the ego stuff and so forth around the performing arts that could actually connect and correlate for some of the people who come to this reading. So last but not least, I'm just going to get some letters just to see what else we've got. So we've got O, L, M, P, X, and B. It's interesting, that spells box. That kind of makes me think about the box that you've been kind of caught in and liberating yourself from that box. It might be sort of something else that connects on that sort of level. I think for the most part with those sort of initials, it's likely to be initials of a name or whatever. So it could be that the person has a name that has one or more of those initials. So again, if they don't, that doesn't rule them out. It's just some extra hints for some of the people who've come to this reading from Spirit. So I do think this is a very positive romantic relationship. I don't think it's particularly hard once it gets going, and I think it's mutually very beneficial. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of drama around it. There's going to be some pushback from other people, but that's part of the point, that you stand in your truth and they stand with you in their truth, so that combined you have this really strong energy. As to the rest of it, hopefully maybe it gives you some indications about the person and about how you could be together. So I hope that that resonated for you, Pile 1, and if so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you already know this person or you recognise some of these scenarios I'm talking about, so you can see how this could come in and how important that would be. As I said, you could potentially accelerate things by even thinking about that and clearing some of that energy first if you haven't met the people. But I do think it's immensely positive, so I would love to hear from you in the comments if that does resonate and you can see that in your life. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. This card plus these cards over here were under the chakra placement stone that you chose to come to this reading. These over here will be looking at some combined energies between you and your soul twin or soulmate. This is the energy that's around you at the time that you either meet the person, or if you think you've already met them or you're with them, the energy that's around you at the moment in some way in relation to your life in general and also in relation to the soul twin scenario. You've got cherry on top, and this is an interesting card. It could be meaning one of two things or both together. It's the card where you are so close to your goal, literally whatever that goal is, whether it's finding the great love of your life, your soul twin, or whether you think you've met them and you want to get with them, or whether it's a situation that it's around your career and you're really waiting for that big break. You're not far off it. It's a card that says that you've been putting in the hard yards, and it may have felt like you were searching forever and ever. So whether this is for love or for career or for both, but you're much closer to the goal than you think you are. And it's just like one extra step, one extra thing that you do, one extra conversation, whatever it might be, depending upon whether your main goal at the moment is someone that you've met or finding the right person, or something broader that then brings the person in because you're pursuing a different dream that isn't about love but brings love in. Either way, it's about that sense of anticipation. It has a sense a bit like the Nine of Wands in the tarot. So the Nine of Wands is where you've put an enormous amount of energy into something and you just need that extra extra bit of energy to get across the finish line. That's the feeling here, and to keep on keeping on. If it feels like it's been never ending and going on and on and on, what this card says is that's because you're so used to the hard work and not necessarily the payoff, or so used to the search for the right person without finding them. So don't mistake the history of what you've done, which has taken you somewhere to be so close, for being what is always going to happen. It really is a journey, and you're very close to the point. So that's very positive in either case. I think this either means that a soul twin or soulmate is coming in to as part of you achieving something you're trying to achieve, or it may be that if you're looking for the one, it's a lot closer than you think. So let's have a look firstly with tarot about what energy is around your soul twin when you meet, or if you think you've met, what energy is around them at the moment that connects to your relationship and how it's going to play out with them. Okay, so I think that your soul twin has some similar energy to you and some that's quite different. And I think that you will actually be a very positive impact on them. That's kind of why it's important for you to keep on keeping on, because I think you're going to come across this person when some major changes are going on in their life, because the Tower is there. The Tower always comes when there is a major change of one form or another, where things that have not been working in a life are breaking down to bring in the new. Now, the beauty of this for your soulmate is that the Empress is with it. So that is to bring in new abundance, new growth, new life, and so forth. But they don't look like they're feeling very courageous about it. If you see, it's interesting. Remember I said that this was like the Nine of Wands? They have the Nine of Wands too, but it's reversed. So when the Nine of Wands is reversed, there is this the kind of sense that you might give up before you've reached your goal. There's a lack of sort of courage. There's a lack of a sense of just being able to keep going. And they've had some disappointment that's brought this about. I wouldn't be surprised with this that some of pile 2, your soulmate may have gone through a very difficult breakup in the not too distant past from when you come across them. There may even have been a divorce or something like that, and issues around children with the Empress there, and maybe they're still being sorted out, particularly with the Page of Wands reversed there. There could be some issues around connection, access and so forth to a child or to children with that. But certainly there's a sense that it's dimmed their light a bit. You become representative of the person who can keep on keeping on. They have gone through something. So there is definitely a sense that they are a little bit wounded, and you probably, by having that tenacity and that goal-oriented nature, will be able to help them in some way. But it could be a little bit of a hard slog, I have to say, to get through that, because they're sorting out a lot. But I do like the Empress energy there. The other thing that I would say is when the Tower turns up in what I would call soulmate relationship readings, Tower energy, I've seen it over and over in relationships, can be incredibly intense. So I suspect that they will be incredibly intensely focused on you. There will be something about you that absolutely fascinates them. And it's probably going to be mutual, but I feel they're dealing with a lot of this. They have the fear energy. In Tower relationships, sometimes fear overcomes the capacity to bring something into being. And so you'll often see it where there seems to be such a strong connection, but why is neither party moving towards the other? And it's because so much is at stake. I think here, this is saying you're likely, and we'll see what the cards say, but you're likely to be the person who needs either subtly or very overtly to move it forward, because this person will be stuck in this energy. It's so strong, and like they've just gone through something that was very painful. So you may be the person who needs to take this forward. But as I say, I keep coming back to the Empress, and there's a sense of great abundance and warmth there if you can get to that. I think that they're very family oriented, actually. That's why I have a sense that for some of them, they may have been in a longer term relationship that didn't work out. So they're still dealing with the wounds around that, but they definitely want a long-term family sort of relationship and that sense of abundance and sharing, which is very nice. But they have been hurt, and so they are wary of feeling strongly, but they definitely will feel strongly about you. It's just that that's always a challenge. The Tower's always a challenge on that level around relationships. So let's ask what impact it has on your life and on what you do, and whatever advice Spirit would have to bring this into being and in the best possible way. Okay, this is definitely confirming that you're the person who helps bring them out of the pain. Definitely. So you sorry, pile two, because it does look to me like you've worked hard at relationships and at life, and you really do have the strength at the moment comparatively. This doesn't mean that going forward, once they feel healed and they feel connected, that you're always going to do that. I don't think that's the case at all. But I do think that you help them deal with the pain. And this again is suggesting that I think for some of the people who've come here, this person has maybe been in a family before, had children, there's something around that, and you help with healing some of the pain of that, or helping them. I mean, you may literally do that. I'm just getting, some of you may literally in some way through, maybe you meet through providing sort of counselling or advice to them, and that also may slow some of this because the relationship would need to shift if that was the case for professional reasons. But you may literally help with that, or it may be that your patterning for good families and that kind of thing may not only attract them but might also help them deal with that issue. They're definitely down on their confidence, and you see that. I think you look like you are more confident. Even if you're feeling frustrated, you look like you feel more confident in them, and you can see, if you could turn that around, the King of Wands, that they would be a very bright, vibrant person. This is not, when you come across them, it is not indicative of who they are longer term, and you have a great generosity of spirit around that. You've seen these sort of patterns before. You haven't necessarily been in exactly the same pattern, but this is again picking up this sense that you've been putting in the hard yards with the world there, and it's another thing that Spirit is saying, you are so close to this goal, you are so close to the completion of whatever this is, whether it's a career thing and then you meet them that way, or whether it's about finding love. I think for many of you, finding love is your core thing, and that this is saying you are so close. And the world to me is always that sense of a soulmate connection, of a fated soulmate connection. So I think you recognize that, even though this person will change a lot through this relationship, you have got a healing aspect within this relationship, because for whatever reason you are more strong at this point in time. But I do think it's at this point in time. I don't think this person is always going to be requiring healing. I just think it's at the moment. And this person you're meant to be with, you come at the right time for them. But that's how you know. This is very, very clear. And if you are in a relationship at the moment that doesn't make sense and you're happy, as I said at the beginning, this may not be a love relationship then. It may in fact be a work or a commitment on that kind of level, and you help someone deal with other pain that's going on in their life that helps you complete another goal. So I'm just saying that in case it isn't about love. But I think for most of you, this is about a really significant love relationship, but one where you will be the healer, you will be the one who takes it forward. You're in a stronger position to start with. So let's have a look at some of the combined energy between you. So this is cards, as I said, that were intuitively chosen ahead of the reading and under the chakra placement stone that you chose. And the intent in the choice of these was for energies about the combined connection between the two of you. So we have Garnet and Moonstone. Okay, Moonstone always says to me psychic connection, so I think there's a strong psychic connection there. So Garnet is about passion, sensuality and grounding. So I do think, so this person is very passionate. They've just, for whatever reason, they've been hurt, so they're hiding their light under a bushel, so to speak. But you and the combined energy is very passionate. That's part of what will help. I don't think that you're going to be in any doubt about the attraction between the two of you. That will not be an issue. It could be, I'm getting for some, that they're still in the throes of breaking up from someone, so there could be some timing stuff around that, and you may even be the catalyst for that to break up. But if that's the case, it's because there is a genuine passion there and there is a genuine connection. So if that fits, don't sort of feel guilty about it, just let it take its time. The Moonstone is suggesting, as I said, a psychic connection, intuition, and also the divine feminine and moon magic. That has a very strong healing energy. I think that's your energy, regardless of what your gender is. I think that you bring that healing, divine feminine love energy to someone who has been very hurt. Let's see what else we have. Okay. So first we have flight. Yes, this person is leaving something. I do think that they are still in the process of dealing with leaving that relationship, leaving those energies. Flight also to me suggests eventually just being able to lift off and be able to fly together, which is lovely. And we've got paired. You are the perfect pair. You are meant to be together. And you are more like each other than it appears. It's almost like they have been playing out the frustration with love while you've been maybe playing out a frustration with career, and the two things come together and you balance each other out. But because you haven't been as emotionally hurt, you're just sort of like frustrated with certain things and getting to the goal, you are in that stronger position. But the two of you are very, very well matched, and you fly. I mean, together there's a just sense of freedom and an uprush of energy, but also a sense of togetherness and connection and gentleness, which is really nice. Now, I also have a couple of cards that are about astrology, and what I'm thinking about here is two, if you know astrology well, you'll know that two natal charts, the charts of each person, can be combined into what they call a composite chart. So it's the energy of the relationship together. So these cards are meant to represent key or primary energies within that composite between the two of you. Okay. So firstly, I'm going to go here, fire. That's picking up the garnet energy. That's picking up the King of Wands and the Nine of Wands and the Page of Wands, all that sort of fire energy that's around. Part of this, I think, particularly since they are all reversed, is about bringing that fire back in. That you will, the passion between you, as I say, will not be in any sense hard to see. It could mean that one or other of you has Aries, Leo or Sagittarius strongly, or the combined energy brings up those fire elements strongly, but it's also earth energy is strong, so grounding it and enjoying things. Like Taurus is the classic sign for wine, women and song, as they say, that sort of sense of the sensual pleasures and so forth. It can be a bit stubborn too, so it could take a while. I do get a sense, because there's some healing to do, it could take a while, but that's part of this energy here as well too. But maybe for many of you, you know this person and it's already happening. You're thinking, is this ever going to sort out? Are they ever going to sort out their stuff? But remember that said, yes, you are much closer than you think if that's the case. If you haven't met them, you come across them, it takes a bit of time. Have faith, because it will work itself out. So either way, that's good. So let's have a look at some cards to pick up other energies to help you identify the person when they come. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some energy around the feelings that you evoke in them and that they evoke in you. So firstly, feelings that you evoke in them. And then what they evoke in you. Okay, so this is interesting. This is showing why it's going to take time, because it's almost seems like a different energy to what we're talking about before. So if you are feeling stuck at the moment and you know who this might be giving us a feeling why, or it could be saying that's why it's going to take time, because there's a lot of energy around this tower to go through. When you're first together, I think they have been manipulated. They have been controlled in a relationship, and they're breaking out of that. So they're going, I will not be controlled. And I feel like I will not make a decision. I will not be controlled. But you make them feel vulnerable. They want healthy boundaries. You will give them healthy boundaries, but the patterning that they're coming from is not healthy and it's not positive. So it will take time. That's why there's this healing energy and getting back to better patterns from the past, not the ones that were difficult. So at first you may find they resist, and that's interesting because, as I say, the tower energy in relationship readings often has a lot of fear associated with it. But this is not about you, I don't think. It's just that the sense of passion and connection, it may remind them of what happened in this earlier relationship, but you two are meant to be paired. You two are a better match than what that was. But at first, don't be surprised if they seem a little bit hesitant or it's hard to. You're probably, as I say, going to need to be the person who subtly moves this through, but you probably do need to feel it subtly. And at first it's going to be as frustrating as hell, because there's one side of you that can connect and know that there is a really strong connection here, but you also want to rely on yourself. You're not someone who wants to feel, well, is this actually a negative pattern I'm getting myself into? Because you're feeling blocked. You're feeling like you're trying to connect, but you're feeling blocked. So I think this is saying that's just the feelings around it. So the outcome still looks good. but it's going to take time. I think that is just saying that again, and to be aware that that's part of this tower energy. I've seen this so many times in relationship readings where when the tower comes up, there's so much fear and so much things that need to be unblocked, unstuck, cleared out, all of that healed, that it can be tricky at first. But this is, I think, why we had this card at the beginning, that even though you're feeling that and they're sort of like acting out from past relationships, it's much closer than you think because the connection is really profound. So given that, let's have a look at timing around it, because as I say, it may take a bit of time. So let's see what Spirit wants to say about timing. Oh, okay. Okay. So I don't think, when I said it's going to take some time, I don't think it's necessarily saying from the time you meet the person it's going to take 6 years for this to occur. But I think timing around 6 years might be important. I think that it may be picking up that this prior relationship this person has had was of a really long duration, and so that is timing that you have to take into account. It could also be that you felt that you've been looking for the one for a very long period of time. But what we have here is a timed surprise. So at some point there's a breakthrough. And I think there's probably also the surprise when you come across this person if you haven't met them yet. But there will be a breakthrough at some point, probably just when you're feeling the most blocked, because remember, this energy up here said just at the point you're feeling like, God, is this all it's going to ever be? This is such a hard slog. That's when the sudden thing happens that shifts it and brings it to completion. So there's something around a very long-term scenario here, either something you've been working on for a long time, or I think for many of them, they've been in a long-term relationship and they're just in the process of breaking up or have just broken up. So that's why you need to give it time. So given that, let's have a look at some other characteristics just of the person. So this is just things that can show what they look like, what they do for their career, you know, personality traits and so forth. And then we'll also use some letters from over there to see about initials or whatever that might help. So this may or may not fit with everybody because it's a collective reading. Don't rule somebody out if they don't have these characteristics, but it may also help you go, yes, I think this is the person, and I can stick this out if some of these characteristics fit. Okay, so jumping down here to non-committal, I definitely think that's picking up this energy. It's non-committal not because they're the sort of person who wouldn't commit ultimately. I think it's just that they've been burned. And you may feel a bit non-committal for a period of time around this too, but this is primarily their energy. So you will know that this is the person if you are feeling like it's taking time to get to that point where they kind of really, really go with it. But interestingly enough, they're likely to surprise you. Remember a time surprise, and then we have spontaneous. Under everything, if that King of Wands that was reversed could be turned around, they are actually quite spontaneous and they do feel the passion. But it's getting those two things to align. They do like their food, and they do like they're sort of someone who you go to a restaurant and they're really going to love doing that. You know, if you cooked for them, they're going to really love that. They do love anything that is sensual. So they're a very sensual person, and maybe it's saying too that they respond very well to spontaneity around that sort of thing. So that may help you move them out of this more negative energy. They may be a water sign or have water signs strong in their chart. So Scorpio, Pisces and Cancer may be important to them, or might be part of who they are, important in their charts. They could also be self-employed. They could be running their own business in some way. Now that's interesting. If they are and they're dealing with something like a divorce, it could complicate it even more. So all of these things are just potentially factors or descriptions around them that might help you go, that's potentially the person. And similarly, let's just get some letters. So we've got C, K, I, T, and W. Interestingly enough, T-I-C-K spells tick, which I think is almost like a yes. So again, I think that might be partly Spirit saying it is a yes to this person, even if for a while it seems like it's taking its time, and that's picking up that energy as well. But these could also be initials of the person, or in some way relevant. If you met through work, it could be an acronym for something in your workplace or something like that as well too. So pile 2, I think you're going to find a really good relationship, but it's not going to be easy to start with, and probably part of your soul mate, soul twin mission with this person is to get to that point where the two of you can be together, to complete it. It completes that cycle for you and gives you that faith that love is meant for you, but it also heals them because they have been hurt on some level, and so they're a little bit gun shy to start with. So I hope that that resonates, and I hope that you enjoyed the reading and that you do see ultimately this is very positive. It's not easy, and you will go through, and they will go through some tricky emotions before you get to the world, but you will get to the world. There's a big tick, as I say, from Spirit around this relationship. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if this resonates already for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. This card and these cards over here were intuitively pre-chosen and under the Chakra placement stone that you chose to come to this reading. These ones over here are some combined energies of your soulmate or soul twin relationship. This card is meant to give a sense about what's going on in your life when this soulmate either comes into your life, or if you think your soulmate is there, what's going on in your life at the moment and this part of the journey. This is really interesting. You have Alice, and so that's like Alice in Wonderland. The concept of this card is an encouragement from Spirit to try out the new or the unfamiliar. So Alice, of course, went into Wonderland, went into a very different, strange, alien sort of world in some ways, and went through a lot of lessons and learning and wonder in doing it. In this case, the energy may be that you are being encouraged to join a new community group, to go to a new workplace, to join a new group of friends, to take up a new hobby, to do something that is new and innovative and exciting for you, and not to be afraid of doing that, not to be worried that you're going to be a stranger in a strange land. You will find your soul family. This is what is meant to happen. So part of this soul twin relationship is not only to find the soul twin, I think, or confirm if you think you found them, but on a broader level to find a soul family, a place that you truly belong, a place that might seem wonderful and strange, but which really fits you. So I get a sense of someone, for instance, and this is only a for instance, that maybe wants to join a theatre group, and they feel like this looks wonderful and wild and different. Are they up to it? Are they able to do that, or will they not fit in? What Spirit is saying is, yes, join that group. You are responding in what you're being drawn to a call from your soul and from your soul family. So it also suggests that if you've come across someone who is very unusual or different, seems to come from a different walk of life, a different culture, a different approach, that may literally be about your soul twin, that it is their very difference, their very sense that they're almost alien to you in some way, but there's also fascinating, that is the sign that it is bringing you closer and closer to your true nature. So when you respond to that and you feel that energy around a person or a group of people, it is part of the signpost towards finding your soulmate. So let's then ask the tarot about what's going on in the life of the soul twin when you come across them, just to give us a little bit more information, particularly as they may seem very exotic or different to you, I think, with that card as the energy around you for this. Okay, so this person is working on something. It may be in a career, it could be in some sort of hobby or something like that. They're building something, and it's a bit of a slow build, I think. They haven't yet fully brought about the abundance that they wanted out of things, and I think that there's a lot of drama and energy around them. So for instance, this could be picking up the energy of that, saying that you are around a group, a community group, a friendship circle, a workplace or something, where one of the things, it seems really interesting and it seems to have some real promise, but it also seems very dramatic and very difficult to fully navigate. It's very strange. The energy around this person is strange. The people around them are strange. It's hard to know whether or not they're authentic, whether or not people around them. I wouldn't be surprised if there are lots of people around them who are also interested in them, but there's a lot of kind of strange energy associated with that as well. I'm getting for some, and this is going to be fairly specific, there may be a lot of family drama around, particularly from any female side of the family, that impacts on what they're trying to do and achieve in their lives and how they view things. They may, similarly to you actually, with that energy, be not in the right soul family and be looking for the right soul family. But they're in a milieu that I think you come across or you move into, and it seems strange. It feels just as strange as Alice in Alice in Wonderland. It feels just the same way. So I think that this is an energy of the unusual, of the dramatic, of the not always clear. And this person looks like they're a little bit fed up with where they are. This is the interesting thing. It feels like you come across their world, what they're doing, and you're drawn into that and you're intrigued by that and you meet them, and they do seem to be creating something in this world, but it's just at the point where they're getting a bit fed up with the world. But it may be that the two of you are meant to come together as a form of crossroads at this point to then take you somewhere else. Because I have to say, this energy doesn't feel like they are where they should be. And yet it's you that is looking at going into something new. So I think you meet by virtue of the fact that you're meant to meet, but you're both in a journey somewhere, and it's sort of like you come together. It's like you come together literally, and then you move on together. So you're coming from different worlds. They're in this world, you're coming into it, and then together you sort of move on from that world. But there's a lot of drama around them, and particularly around women around them, I think, with those, both with the Empress reversed and then the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands reversed. Lots of competition. It's interesting, I've got the sense of a theatre group, because it feels like sometimes that kind of dramatic, theatrical, look at me type of energy. There might be quite a bit of narcissistic behaviour around this person. I don't think they're like that. They seem to be very solid, but it just feels like there's a lot of that around them. And it's a very creative energy, but it's a turbulent energy, and they're getting ready to move on. So yeah, you're coming into something at the point they're ready to move on, but I think that they've almost been there long enough so that you would join them, and then together you can do something else. So it's very interesting energy. So let's have a look at what the tarot has to tell us about the impact of them on your life and how you're sort of feeling and working with this connection. Okay, so firstly, I think that when you come across this person, and part of the reason that you're trying to find something new is you've been hurt. Like you've actually just come out of a relationship that hasn't worked out at the point you come across this person. So yeah, you're both looking to head in a different direction. I say, I keep getting this sense that you find them because of that, and then the two of you go on a different path. But you've found it hard. At the time you come across them, you're finding it hard to let go of some past thing. It might be partly why the Alice, do I step into something new? There's a side of you that still hasn't completely resolved a past relationship. The good thing is that there is a lot of potential for a better relationship here. With the Magician and the Ten of Cups there is a sense that you could move into something that was much more long-standing. That, as I say, it's like through adversity in some weird way, adversity that you felt emotionally that's maybe made you sort of look to do something different in your life, change your career, change your hobbies, join a group or whatever it is, to deal with this pain, bring something very good. And there's a real alchemical connection with the Magician there. There's a meeting of the minds as well, and great communication that helps you deal with the loss of emotion before. But it is saying there is a warning here, pile 3, that there is competition for this person. So it's very important for you to focus on what is positive there and moving out of this environment and away from these influences, because there is at least one person, I think, who is also interested. And in that sense, it doesn't necessarily have to be male or female, but there is someone else who is competing for this energy around this person. But I think they've been around your soulmate for a long time. They may have a sense that this person is mine in some level, and or it's a connection around the mother, and the mother doesn't approve of her her child ever being with anybody because they're never good enough. There's something like that. So you will be aware of that. You will be aware there's an energy that could get in block the Ace of Cups potential, but overall Spirit is saying that if you are both strong to who you are and you come together and you go on the path together yourselves and you both let go of all the drama and rubbish that's been in your lives, there's a lot of positive energy there. But it's, you're moving towards this person because you're moving away from pain. They are in a situation they felt stuck that is dramatic and hyperbolic and problematic and competitive. The two of you, when you come together, can bring about that energy, but you both need to be prepared to move away from anything in the past that is not going to serve this. It's all about the new and being brave enough to take the new. So let's have a look at the combined energies between the two of you. Okay, so firstly, we've got very much with the colouring and the cards here a sense of spiritual connection. So you'll probably have a psychic connection, a telepathic connection. You'll really feel that sense of soul connection. You'll know that you're both on the same path, even though both of you in a sense have been on the wrong path, and coming together helps you move to the right path. The amethyst gives spirituality, intuition and stress relief, and God knows you both need stress relief by the looks of things, so that's nice that energy together. I would suggest maybe having amethysts around you to bring some of this energy in and to ground that energy and to give that connection. There's also you are, embrace the magic of your being. So that's the magician here. I think it's saying that together you become the magician. Together you bring all the elements together. I wouldn't be surprised if you'll find that if you looked at the two natal charts, that there's almost a balance, like maybe one of you is very earth and fire and the other is very air and water. There's like that together you get all the elements of the magician. You bring all those pieces together, which the past energies for both of you, that wasn't the right thing. This is about finding the soul tribe. And that's very clear that there's something that is about the two of you together that is its own being and is magical. See what else we have. Okay, so we've got pomp. This again, I get this sense of drama. I literally, right from the beginning, got the sense that you could literally be joining a theatre group or something like that. There's a sense of drama. There's a sense of pomp. There may be, in some cases, what's going on is even cultural status difference. Like part of this energy around this person might be that somebody has to be at their class level or some other stuff like that. That sort of sense of snobbery and pomp and all that kind of thing. There's just a lot of inauthentic energy that's surrounding this. It's not you or the soul twin. It's just the energy that's around it. It's interesting that we got Virgo with it because Virgo is grounded. Virgo is about the details. I think this is Spirit saying, don't get fooled by all this rubbish, because there is rubbish around this. There is people trying to tell you you don't belong, or you're not good enough, or this person belongs to them, or whatever it is. It's all just pomp. It's not true. If you look at the details, if you look at what is grounded, then you can stand firm to this. You can belong. You belong with this person, and the two of you will then go towards what suits both of you better. So that's a little bit of astrological energy. I also used an astrology deck to look at what the composite energy is between the two of you. And what I mean by that is if you had your birth chart and the birth chart of the other person, an astrologer can combine them and look at a chart that is like the energy of the relationship. So that's expressly what I was asking Spirit to show us. Some key elements around that composite astrological energy between the two of you. Okay, so firstly we've got conjunction. That's getting back to you are the perfect match. This is what's meant to be, but it's interesting we've got the 12th house. The 12th house is often quite hidden. It does pick up the spiritual stuff. It may be that because of all the drama around this person that you may need to keep your relationship hidden until such time as you've cleared out that energy and you're both ready to move into something new in your lives together. So there's something around that. There's certainly very much a strong karmic connection with the 12th house as well. The planet that rules the 12th house is Neptune, so at its best that's ideal, but at its most difficult, all that energy that is sort of hyperbolic and dramatic can be very Neptunian, but it's not what it appears if that's the case. It is not as strong as it appears. If Neptune is working on that level, then it is just confusing and distracting. So go to the amethyst, go to that spiritual connection. A conjunction is two planets coming together and they elevate and they blend the energies. So what I'm going to do is get a sense. I'm going to shuffle the astrology deck and I'm going to then deal out till I find a couple of planets just to see what this conjunction in the composite chart looks like. So just bear with me till I find some planets. Jupiter. And Saturn. Oh, okay. All right. So for a start, depending upon when you're seeing this is a timeless reading, but I'm doing it in I'm actually doing the reading in around August 2021. And Jupiter and Saturn are both in Aquarius at the moment, and they're both retrograde, so there's some fairly big energies going on around Jupiter and Saturn. Aquarius is very transpersonal. This is again picking up why this is maybe about a group, a collective in some way that brings this about. But Jupiter is all about expansion and Saturn is all about structure. What that means is together they can work well or they can butt up against each other. My sense here is that they will work well if you go to the Virgo, going to the Virgo and sort of energy around Saturn, around that sense of the details and the structure and so forth, and Jupiter being the luck that breaks free of things and so forth. So there are two heavy hitters, a benefic and a structure. So there's something in this that is meant to take you to something much longer term with Saturn, and it's benefic, but you do need to both break down the structures of your life before and embrace something that is positive rather than all this hyperbolic drama that is certainly around your soul twin. And I think to some degree you're still processing something from the past as well too. So thinking about that, what do you let go of with Saturn to bring in the Jupiter energy? What in the Jupiter energy is benefic do you need to give structure to? That's how you're going to work out how to deal with this. So let's ask this particular deck, what sort of emotions each of you will bring out in the other when you sort of first come across each other, particularly in this rather overheated environment that you seem to be in. So firstly, for the other person, and I'll shuffle again for you. Okay, so you're going to have the heavier response at first. I think partly because you are going to feel like, what have I walked into? That's the sort of feeling I feel like, what am I in right now? So you're sort of feeling, I need to rely on myself. I don't need to become codependent in this. It's really a bit overloaded. I need to sort of like take it one step at a time. So I think you'll be quite careful in navigating your way through this overheated environment. Your significant other, your soul twin, is going to be very excited and grateful though to see you. They really think this gives them a new lease on life, and they see the abundance around them that you bring in. It's like you're the breath of fresh air. You're the person who takes the tension out of the room. So they're probably likely to pursue you, even though I think there's going to be some pushback from people around them. I think they're likely to pursue you, and maybe that's good because you're still healing from something yourself. And you're seeing all this drama around it. And as I say, it's a bit discombobulating. You're like, what am I doing in this environment? Like, what's going on? But they're very, very focused on it. So let's ask around timing. What sort of timing is important to this relationship? Oh, wow. Okay. It's not too late and in a few weeks. So I think that it's not too late would suggest that if you are in two minds about something when this is going on, it's not too late. Like, don't listen to people who are saying, oh, well, your chance is gone. Or if you've been a little bit wary when they first sort of come towards you, don't worry, it's not too late to course correct. But something's happening very soon around this. So I think that many of you are likely to be thinking about, at the very least, thinking about going into something, changing something in your life, being in a different group, trying something new. whatever that is, if there's something like that happening or if something occurs to you very soon, then that is indicating this is coming into your energy very soon. So if you are still working through pain from a past relationship, just be aware of that and how that's impacting you. But there's an opportunity very soon that brings some of this energy in. So given we're looking at something that's quite imminent, if it hasn't already happened, and if it has already happened, then there's something coming in the next few weeks that can turn around something if you've been kind of pushing something away and you're thinking, well, actually, no, I don't want to push it away. I understand this a bit better now. Then in a few weeks, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. This last pack here that I want to use has different characteristics of a person. So this is really just to give a little bit more information about what this soulmate might be like. So it's a collective reading, so some of it may absolutely hit completely, some may not. Just take from it what suits you. So if everything else fits with the person but they don't have these characteristics, then this part of the reading wasn't meant for you. But it may also help as a confirmation if they do. Okay, some of these are fairly specific. So they're likely to be a bit introverted. And I think that's probably, as I say, I think that they're excited about this, but there's something that's been able to keep them down, these sort of like more dominant energies, and it's probably because they're a bit introverted. So if they seem a bit shy, they seem sort of excited around you but a bit shy, then it's probably a good indication that's that introversion operating. They may seem non-committal, but again, like, it wouldn't surprise me because there's just so much drama around them that it may be hard for them to make that commitment until they're more sure, but that doesn't mean that they're not really intrigued and interested. They may know about astrology. They may ask you what your sign is. They may be interested in that sort of thing. Or it just may be saying the astrology is very compatible with you, as the other stuff indicated. They're very skilled at whatever they do. I think they're very successful. As I say, remember we had the Seven of Pentacles under there as the starting point. They're building something. They're skillful. They're good at their job, something along those lines. So you'll also know because they are good at what they do. They're going to be very clever on that sort of level. And they may be multilingual. Again, it's very specific, so maybe not everybody will be for that, but that may be also a sign. So if they speak more than one language, and it's interesting because it may be that for some of them, some of that drama is around family and around culture, so they come from a very different culture and be multilingual as well. So, but if that's the case, you're both meant to move into your soul family rather than just whatever your cultural backgrounds were. So last but not least, I'm just going to get some letters to see whether or not we get some words or some initials or something like that also might be relevant. So we've got N, M, L, M, so M's important, O and F. So I don't think that's really spelling anything, but I think it could very much be initials for names and so forth. It could also be initials if this is through a community group or an organisation or something like that. There could be an acronym in there that's important on some level. So either could be the case. So just take from that if that actually gives you some further information and confirmation that the person you're thinking of is the person that this reading is referring to. But either way, I do think you're meant to be around this person. I do think there's an enormous potential to move forward to both your benefit. I think that there's a lot of compatibility there, but it's just in a very tricky, strange environment, and so it may take a little bit of time to deal with that. But don't lose heart and don't feel like you're kind of outside of your comfort zone or that you can't do it. You actually can. Remember that the Magician is there. Remember that the Ten of Cups is there. The overarching ending for this is a good relationship for both of you, but it's one that requires both of you to change. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if it does resonate, you know kind of what this is already, I'd be fascinated to hear about it in the comments below. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.